All right, so we show up to a substation and doors, fences, cameras, locks, everywhere you look. And then there's a sign, critical infrastructure, authorized personnel only. These aren't just rules, they're the requirements under NERC SIP physical security. So I'm going to cover what you need to know to stay compliant in the field, how physical security protects you and the grid, and how cybersecurity affects all devices you interact with, and how you handle incidents in the field. Lastly, the best practices to avoid common mistakes. Because in today's utility world, a careless action can create a security breach or grid risk. All right, when you work at a utility scale, solar, battery, or wind site, you're not just operating a power plant, you're part of the North American power grid. That grid is governed by a reliability standards that are developed by the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, also known as NERC. NERC's role is to ensure that the bulk power system stays reliable and secure across the United States, Canada, and even parts of Mexico. They don't operate power plants directly, but they set the rules and reliability standards that utilities, grid operators, and large generation facilities must follow. So, why does this matter to technicians? Well, at large scale solar, battery, and wind sites, especially those connected to the transmission grid, your plant may fall under NERC reliability requirements depending on its size and grid impact. This means your site has to follow strict standards related to grid reliability, protection systems, disturbance reporting, cybersecurity, and even operator training. NERC publishes hundreds of standards covering areas like protection and control. These are PRC, facilities design, FAC, cybersecurity or infrastructure protection, CIP, and emergency operations or EOP. Technicians most commonly encounter the standards related to protection systems and equipment maintenance. So it's important that you're familiar with these. If a plant experiences a major event like a large generator trip, a transmission fault, or frequency or voltage issues, operators may need to report it through their Electric Reliability Organization or ERO. These standards require clear documentation and repeatable procedures for things like relay maintenance, protective system testing, equipment inspections, and operator response actions. This is why many sites have strict procedures and records for switching and maintenance activities. The big things to keep in mind is NERC is there to protect the entire power grid, make sure it operates safely and reliably. So, substations, data centers, and control buildings are considered critical infrastructure. And under NERC SIP standards, fences, gates, locks, badge access, cameras, intrusion detection, and alarms are all things that are required by these standards. So, as a field technician reporting to these sites or going to these sites for maintenance, you must understand that you're never to bypass locks or barriers, only to enter areas that you're authorized for, verify identity for escorting contractors or visitors, and report any damaged gates, locks, or cameras immediately. Think of it as protecting yourself, the equipment, and the grid. Physical access is the first layer of security. Tips for compliance here is carry your badge or identification at all times. Don't lend this out. Log in or log out as required by different site procedures or site owners. And make sure you escort visitors, never leaving them unsupervised, especially in control areas that have access to data or controls of the site. Use only the assigned keys and lock combinations and don't change these out without proper approvals. And it's important that we don't prop doors open or disable alarms, even temporarily or if they're annoying. Unauthorized access can lead to equipment tampering, theft, grid instability, or compliance violations with serious penalties. Cybersecurity in the field. So, yeah, field technicians, they interact with cyber systems every single day. Digital relays, remote terminal units or RTUs, inverters or SCADA devices, condition monitoring systems. NERC and under the SIP compliance requires you to protect those device credentials, the network connections, the USBs, the laptops, the tablets, and things that you're plugging into these devices. Some of the most common violations that get reported are folks sharing passwords, or in many cases, using generic or standard passwords, using personal USB devices or laptops on substation equipment, connecting unauthorized laptops to networks, and ignoring device firmware or security updates. So always follow the site approved procedures for maintenance and diagnostics of all equipment. Technicians are part of the security. Look for signs of tampering, things like cut locks, missing cameras, unusual wiring. Report suspicious activities, unknown vehicles, or individuals around the site. And be aware of social engineering attempts, meaning, hey, someone's asking for codes, passwords, or ways to access a site. And never leave doors or cabinets open in substations or on clean energy sites. Even these minor lapses can have major compliance and operational consequences. Whenever we're working on NERC SIP devices, things like inverters or substation equipment, we always want to authenticate using our credentials, only our credentials. Only use authorized diagnostic tools and software. Make sure it's approved by your organization. Document every action in your work order or log or CMMS, computerized maintenance management systems. And never bypass security controls to make work faster or easier. It can be a huge reliability risk. Now, remember, RTUs, relays, inverters may have critical communication links. Anything we do in the field can disable alarms, trip relays, or expose the systems to attack. So think before you plug in a laptop or perform a firmware update. All right, if you see something unusual, like unknown device connected to a network, a broken lock or open fence, theft, alarm that was triggered, one of the most common things is grounds at substations getting stolen, right? They take the copper and steal that. Suspicious emails or USBs found on site. Make sure you follow the site protocol. Secure the area, notify the control center, document the incident, and avoid touching the system until authorized. Your response, your communication, and your reporting protects the grid, people, and the compliance record of the site. So, what can we do? Well, keep passwords confidential. Use strong site approved credentials. Lock your tablet or laptop whenever unattended. And when you're in a rental car or parking your vehicle, always take your laptop with you. Do not store sensitive documents in vehicles or leave them unattended. Always lock gates and cabinets. Follow tagging and clearance procedures carefully. And inspect security systems and fences for damage before starting any work. These small little habits prevent large-scale grid security incidents that can both be reliability issues, but also reputational risks as well. Your field work is critical to the safety, reliability, and compliance of the electric grid. So think of security as physical, keeping the perimeter and devices secure. Cyber, well, keeping your credentials and network secure. And procedural, following all the NERC SIP standards, reporting requirements, and steps without any shortcuts. Because every action you take, from opening a cabinet, working on an inverter, plugging in a laptop, can impact the entire system. Before accessing or doing any work on site, always ask yourself, am I authorized to be here? Am I using the approved credentials and tools? Are there physical and cyber risks that I can mitigate or have mitigated? And have I documented and reported any irregularities? Lastly, if we have visitors or contractors on site, have I validated their credentials? Am I monitoring them and not allowing them access to critical grid infrastructure? If you can confidently answer yes, you're acting like a NERC compliant professional. If not, stop and contact your supervision. In closing, physical and cybersecurity are part of grid reliability, personal safety, and legal compliance. Respect fences, locks, cameras, and credentials. Never improvise, because in utility operations, security is our daily responsibility.